So today, we're not just going to tell you a ghost story. We're going to take it apart, piece by agonizing piece. We're digging into the Hindi horror story Purana Powerhouse, which means the old powerhouse, to really figure out how it's built, how it masterfully creates that sense of dread from the very first sentence to its absolutely chilling final moments. And this, right here, is the hook. You know, a story's opening line is everything, and this one, it's a masterclass. It doesn't just say the village was quiet. No, it says silence pulls on a shroud. You know, the cloth they use to cover the dead. So right away, before we've even seen a ghost, we're in a place that feels like death. The atmosphere is just pure dread, and it pulls you right in. All right, so that brings us to our first section, what you could call this setup. Every great horror story has to lay the groundwork, and this is where it happens. We get introduced to the key players, this really unsettling setting, our hero who has no idea what he's walking into, and the mysterious problem at the heart of it all. So this is where we meet our main guy, Samir. He's a young, smart engineer from the big city, all logic and reason. His mission seems pretty simple on paper. Go to this village, Nimketa, and fix the power. But here's the thing. The problem isn't technical. Every single night, like clockwork, the entire village is plunged into this deep, deliberate darkness. Samir is basically science walking into a world that couldn't care less about his rules. And this right here, this visualizes the whole conflict perfectly. You've got the city, which runs by the clock. It's predictable, it's logical, it's man-made. And then you have the village, which runs on the sound of fear. This clash is the engine of the whole story. It's his modern scientific brain up against this deep-rooted ancient superstition. Okay, let's dive into the second act, the warning. This is where the story basically stops dropping hints and starts raising the stakes. The whole supernatural thing isn't just a creepy vibe anymore. It gets a name, a location, and it's presented right to our hero, who, of course, is about to completely ignore it. So naturally, Samir asks the most logical question possible. As an engineer, he's probably thinking, okay, is it loose wires, an old transformer? He asks the village elders, expecting a simple, technical answer he can fix. Oh man, he could not be more wrong. And this is the answer he gets. And let me tell you, it is chilling. Rabu Kaka, one of the elders, doesn't give him a technical reason. He gives him this terrifying paradox. He's basically saying the darkness isn't the problem, it's the solution. It's a form of protection. The power goes out on purpose, not because of a fault, but because they're afraid of what the light might show. Then the villagers give him this super specific, direct warning. They tell him the path to the powerhouse isn't just a path. They call it the door of death. They even point out a landmark, a cursed well where shadows literally have a life of their own. And Samir, our man of science, what does he do? He just scoffs at it, which is just perfect dramatic irony because we're all sitting here thinking, no, dude, don't do it. And now for Act 3, the lure. And I love this part because the story doesn't just throw a cheap jump scare at you. Instead, it gets really clever and uses all these classic horror moves to build suspense, not by forcing Samir into danger, but by tricking him into walking right into it himself. And it all starts with a sound. Not a scream, but something way more unsettling. The squishing sound of wet footsteps outside his door in the dead of night. It's this subtle, creepy hint that something is not right, breaking that total silence and putting everyone on edge. Then the sound gets more specific. 3 knocks. But the key here is how they're described. Slow and deliberate. This isn't someone in a rush. It's calm. It's patient. And that is so much creepier, right? That slow pace just cranks up the tension. So Samir opens the door, and there's this guy, Somesh. And the description is just chef's kiss for horror writing. He's not some gruesome monster, just a man whose face is so unnaturally pale, it looks like there's no blood in it. It's a massive visual red flag. Everything about him just screams that something is very, very wrong. So, how exactly does this trap work? It's basically a 3-step play. First, you get the appeal to his good nature, a sick mother who needs help. Second, the bait, a shortcut that just happens to be the one forbidden path he was warned to stay away from. And the final, deeply unsettling clue, the guide, Somesh, makes 0 sound as he walks. It's a perfect trap, disguised as a cry for help. Okay, here we go. This is the climax. Act 4, the trap, or as the story calls it, the ghostly bargain. All the suspense, all those warnings, it's all been leading to this exact moment. This is where the horrifying truth is finally going to come out. The second he steps inside that house, the horror just hits him from all sides. First, that smell. The overwhelming, awful smell of decay. Then, poof, his guide, Somesh, is just gone, vanishes into thin air. The sick mother he came to help? Turns out it's a skeleton lying on the cot. And that's when it all clicks for him. This isn't a home. It's a prison. And the trap has just snapped shut. And right at this peak moment of terror, the story does something brilliant. It slams on the brakes and jumps back in time. It's not to give you a break from the horror, but to give it a tragic, painful reason for existing. Why is this all happening? The answer is 2 years in the past. And this backstory, wow, it just changes everything. See, Somesh and his mother weren't evil spirits. They were victims. A power pole fell in a storm, and while they were being electrocuted, the villagers, they just stood there and watched, too afraid to do anything. So these aren't just random ghosts. They are spirits of vengeance, born from apathy and neglect. And this line from the ghost, man, it's so important. It tells Samir, hey, this isn't about you personally. It's about the system you represent, the one that forgot about us and let us die. So the horror isn't personal, it's systemic. They need a sacrifice, this ghostly bargain, to finally be free by trapping someone from the very system that failed them. And that brings us to the final act, the aftermath. This is the chilling wrap-up where we see the fallout. It's where the village's deepest fears get confirmed in the worst way imaginable, and we're left with this truly haunting final image. So Samir actually manages to bolt from the house, right? He makes a run for it, but it's no use. The path itself seems to be against him, like a maze that keeps twisting him around. He doesn't run to safety. He runs straight toward that other cursed landmark, the well. And when he gets there, he isn't pushed or attacked. He's lured in by whispers promising peace, a final, cruel psychological trick to seal his fate. The next morning, Samir is just gone. But look at the evidence left behind. His room is empty, his door left wide open, and here's the smoking gun. His slippers and his first aid kit are found right at the edge of the cursed well. For the villagers, there's no mystery here. This is confirmation. Their superstition, their legend, has just been proven horribly right. And here it is, the final, devastating, gut punch of a twist. Samir, the man of logics who came to bring light, didn't break the curse. He became a permanent part of it. The darkness didn't just kill him, it absorbed him into its mythology. The legend of the 2 haunting shadows is now a legend of 3. And that's where the story leaves us, with this truly haunting question. It doesn't wrap things up with a neat little bow. Instead, it just deepens the mystery and reinforces this terrifying cycle of fear. It suggests that the darkness in